Hello, and call me Coco. And why on earth is it snowing outside? It's March! Recently I went to the thrift store and I found an old porcelain figure that reminded me of somebody. I won't tell you who now, you'll figure that out in like 10 seconds. I figured that it would probably be really fun to do a thrift store makeover and turn something old into something new. So this is the figure. As you can see, she's got an elegant feel to her. Plus, she's got an umbrella. So I figured she'd be perfect for turning into an elegant Princess Peach. I did make a design on my tablet to plan out how I wanted her to look, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. To make her look more like Peach, I whipped up my Apoxie Sculpt. It's a durable air-dry clay that dries rock solid within 24 hours. I took parts A and B and began mixing them together until the clay was a solid color and consistency. After that, I began to apply clay and sculpt on the porcelain figure. I started out sculpting her hair and using my metal tool to give it some texture similar to the figures. I then began to take more clay and started modifying her outfit. I took 3 circles of clay and sculpted it onto her neck to give her a doily of sorts. It's supposed to be a resemblance to the collar of her actual dress, and I also made sure to add some larger circles by her face to give her earrings. I then proceeded to take more clay and began adding more to her dress. Since this figure's dress is drastically different from Peach's actual dress, I decided to incorporate elements of her original outfit onto this figure's outfit. My goal is to not entirely change the figure into Peach, but to give her more of Peach's aesthetic. Hence, I added details such as gems, those strips of fabric on her hips, I don't know exactly what they're called, and some ruffles throughout her outfit, and of course her crown. To make her crown, I took a small circle of cardboard from a wrapping paper roll and began cutting it into the size that I wanted it to be. I then proceeded to cut small triangles into the roll to give it those points that crowns have. I ended up supergluing the ends together and adding clay onto it to harden its shape, which I then attached to her head using superglue. I ended up doing 2 rounds of Apoxie Sculpt to add the other details that I wanted, simply so that I wouldn't squish any other details that I had finished. Plus, during my first round, there were some details that I forgot to add that weren't in my digital design, but I made sure not to forget them during my second round of clay. Once the primer was completely dried, I brought out my acrylic paints and paintbrushes, and during my process, I managed to find my old Princess Peach figure from when I was a little kid. Despite it being over 10 years old, it still is in great shape and was a perfect reference to use for color matching her outfit. For her dress, I brought out this baby pink paint that matched perfectly to my Peach figure's dress and began painting the figure I had sculpted. Since she also has these darker pink ruffles, I used a mix of magenta, red, and the pink that I used for her dress to get the right shade, using my toy figure as a color reference. And after adjusting my camera angle, I went in and began painting the parts of her dress that I wanted to be the pink that I mixed up. I did about 2 to 3 layers of each color that I used for her in her dress to make the colors opaque. To add more definition to her outfit, I mixed up some darker shades of the base colors to add artificial shadows and further enhance the details of both the figure and the additions that I sculpted. I was originally going to have all of the lace details that I had sculpted be white, but I ended up remembering that she has dark pink ruffles at the end of her dress, which I mentioned earlier, so I ended up changing it. But I think that it brings out more color in her and gives her more of the look of the character. I then went in with some gold paint and began painting the jewelry aspects of her outfit, such as the beads that I sculpted on her dress, a ring that I gave her, the gem that sits in the middle of her chest, and of course her crown. I did end up painting her hair gold as a base for her hair color since she is blonde, plus I figured it would give her some shimmery highlights. Mixing up some oranges, yellows, and whites, I began to paint her skin, which also took a few layers of paint to become opaque. I then bounced back to her hair and added different shades of yellow until I was satisfied with the color. I originally made her too blonde, then too yellow, and after some struggles in gold Posca pen, I finally found a balance that I was satisfied with. I also used the Posca Pens to paint her jewelry since I was adding resin to them later. Plus, they were the perfect shades. And after some more touch-ups, it was finally time to paint her face. Since her look seemed more on the fancy side, I tried adding some soft but glamorous makeup to her. I don't know if I necessarily succeeded in that technically, but I think it worked out for this figure. I used white and blue for her eyeshadow, brown for her eyelashes, and used different shades of pink for her blush and lips. I also went in with the same blue Posca pen as her jewelry for the base to keep the color scheme consistent. And after all the details were painted, I brought out some UV resin to add dimension to her jewelry. This particular resin needs either sunlight or a UV or ultraviolet light to cure, and once it does, it looks and feels like a plasticky glass. I simply poured a small drop into the indents of her jewelry and then cured it with my UV flashlight for about 2 minutes to ensure it cures all the way. To protect the paint and prevent it from cracking, I brought out my Liquitex matte varnish and gave her a layer of it, making sure I got into every nook and cranny. I honestly love how she turned out. I think she came out so beautiful and elegant, and it really matches Peach's aesthetic. I'm really happy with the detail that I put into her dress, and while it definitely looks like an outfit fit for a royal ball or tea party, the more I look at it, the more it gives me the vibes of Peach's dress in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Maybe it's the lace, but I don't know. Regardless, I'm okay with that. It's a great game. Anyways, I really hope that you enjoyed today's adventure, and I'm really hoping that you enjoyed this thrift store makeover. I hope to do more of these in the future, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else I can come up with some random objects that I found. And as always, I hope you enjoyed today, and I will see you next Friday. Bye!